Hi, good morning, everyone. We shall wait for a few more minutes until more people is inside the webinar because I still see the number of participants increasing right now. Okay, I think we'll start the webinar now. So allow me to first introduce myself and forgive me for wearing this mask because I'm in a public place right now. But yeah, so I'm Isa. I'm from NTUC Learning Hub, ICT Product Division, and with me is Senthil, who's my colleague in the ICT Product Division. So the purpose of this webinar is to do a few things. Firstly, it is surely to let you know more about the SGUnited programs, because if you're in this webinar, then chances are you're interested to know more about our SGUnited skills program. So the way we're gonna flow this, right, is that we are first gonna tell you more about what SG United is at a bigger level, and then we'll go deeper to tell you about each of the job role that we have for each of these, SG United program. And then from there, right, we this is the SG United program is a heavily funded program, um, and because of that, there are certain requirements and frequently asked questions that you may have pertaining the program, and that will be covered towards the end. And finally, we will also instruct you on, if you are interested in this program, how can you try to how can you apply for it. There is a selection process, there is an interview process, and so you'll get to know more about it. So I'm very happy to speak to you today, and allow me to get right into it. So I will be covering on the data analytics job role, as well as the UX job role, after which I'll hand it over to Senthil. Yeah, without further ado, let me continue. If you have questions, you can use the Q&A function, which is located in Zoom. You can see it on your bottom bar. There's a Q&A, section there. You can ask your question, and towards the end, we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Okay. Yeah. So this is the SG United program by NTUC Learning Hub. So firstly, what is the SG United program for, right? So SG United program is a long format program designed to transform Singaporeans and PRs to be competent in future ready job roles. So the idea is that there are a lot of courses and programs out there which is more short, right? Like a short program. But this has its limitation. While it's pretty convenient if you are a working professional and you want to upgrade yourself, upskill yourself, short courses works. But if you are starting from ground zero, right, you're not very, adept in the skills in that job role, then you certainly need a longer format program. And this is what it is. So it is designed for Singaporeans and PRs to have a transformation. So, for example, if you're not competent in UX, after the whole program, you'll be competent in UX. So this is the spirit of the program, and you'll see it as we show you more about the courses in the program. So the structure of the program goes like this. We want to teach industry relevant skills and help you achieve deep proficiencies of the skills. So it typically looks like this. There are structured learning, in the earlier part of the program, and at the last part of the program, there's final capstone. And so the structured training means that you'll be learning courses on specific skills. So, for example, for UX, maybe you'll be learning Photoshop, you'll be learning about UX methodology, you'll be learning about Illustrator, stuff like that. So, this is the structured learning portion of it, right? Let me use a pen. So, this is for a 9 months program, this is about 6 months long. Okay. And then the final capstone is a 3 months long at the end. This will allow you to do projects in order to build up your portfolio, to build up your experience in the program. So the question you might have is that, okay, so this is sort of intuitive. We've seen this in a lot of programs in university and polytechnic. When you go for a normal program, there is a final capstone component of it. Um, but what are the other reasons that you have to structure it in this manner? Well, there is a certain level of design here, right? So you would want the learning that you've done, right, for this program, the stuff that you can learn, the skills that you can absorb to be in the front loaded part here. And then over here in your CV perspective, the stuff that you can put it in your resume, you can put all the skills you've learned in the first 6 months into your resume. And then after that, when you're doing the final capstone, you will increase the amount of portfolio and the amount of projects that you'll do. But at the same time, in the skills perspective, you would have maxed out all the learning that you need over here in terms of the skills that you can put inside your CV. So what it means is that when you do job searching, especially towards the end of the program, you would have learned all the skills that you wanted to learn in the structured training. So you're just deepening the skills in the final capstone. So this is pretty useful as opposed to having the structured learning throughout the 9 months or 6 months of the program, depending on the length of the program. Because if you do that, then you'll have to wait till the end of the program before you master all the skills that you want to. But not only that, right? During the structured learning, most of the months, so this doesn't apply to everything, but mostly most of the program, um, even the skills that you learn, for example, let's say in UX, right, you'll be learning about wireframing, let's say. Then the skills that you learn every month will be in this format. You'll be learning the skills itself, followed by a small project at the end. Because in order for you to internalize the skill, you need to apply it. So that's why even within the structured learning, there are small mini projects that you do along the way. Again, this is a generalization for most of the programs. So certain programs might be different. So it's a structured training. It's in this instructor-led virtual training, self-paced e-learning, works on projects under guidance mentors, modularized courses that are industry relevant and certifiable for some of them. Okay, so the SGUnited program is a long format program. It is 6 to 9 months long. Most of our programs are 9 months long. It is meant for Singaporean citizens and PR who are job seekers. So if you are already in full-time employment, you are not eligible for this. You must be a job seeker. And you must also be Singaporeans or PR. And you will be eligible for a training allowance of 1.2K every month for the duration of the program. But you have to meet certain criteria. Again, we will go through that in detail towards the end of the presentation. And we, at the end of this program, right, while you upskill, well, you have this huge program where you have a lot of courses and projects that you do. Well, the end game is we do want you to get a job, right? This is what we want to achieve. So jobs is certainly not guaranteed in this program. I mean, nobody can guarantee jobs, but jobs is the outcome that we want to achieve as well. So to that end, this is a generalized deck or some of the things that are available that we do in order to increase the chance or exposure of our trainee to employers. So this is not like this is a generalized slide. So for certain programs, they have certain services, but in a general, a lot of our programs have certifications. So for example, if you look at the network engineer or the UX program, there are certain certifications inside there. We have virtual career fairs, which is towards the end of the program, in the beginning, this is not useful at all. So once you're in month number 6, something like this, where your CV is already strong, you would have learned a lot of skills. We'll organize career fairs for you to get exposure to employers. But not only that, right? We even purchase software on our side, as well as we have people on our site that we hired just for the SGUnited program to help you gain exposure to employers. So what does gain exposure means, right? Okay, one thing is what you should do by yourself while you're in this program is to push your CV. That is, as you learn more, you increase the entry into your CV and strengthen your CV. So you should send this CV over to jobs databases and so on. But we also do that on our side. So what we do is that we look for employers inside our database, and we ask our trainees to make sure that their CVs are updated and strong with the stuff that they learn in our program, and then we'll increase our exposure by sending this CV to these employers. So these are some of the services that we have to help you increase the chance of getting a job, because at the end of it, this is the outcome that we want to achieve. But at the same time, jobs are not guaranteed through this program. Okay, so for our SGUnited program, right? I mean, if for those of you who might not be familiar with NTUC Learning Hub, you might be thinking, I mean, you might not know what NTUC Learning Hub actually is, right? Is it that NTUC does all the programs themselves? They create this content and so on. So that's not how it works for us. So a lot of times we work with our industry partners. So what it means is that we get content from Cisco, AWS, or Fortinet, HFI. A lot of them are industry leaders. Yeah, just to give you an example, right? In UX, there is a certification out there called the Certified Usability Analyst, and this is being distributed by this company called Human Factors International. And so we realized that to increase how much recognition our candidates can get from a UX program, we should work with Human Factors International to get their content to be available in Singapore. And that's exactly what we do. So we work with HFI to have their CUA certification embedded inside this program, plus another certification called CDPA, which I'll talk to you more about later. And what it does is that it allows you to go through this very high value program, which is quite expensive. It is about more than 4K if you take it yourself, but it's encapsulated in this SGUnited program, which enjoys about 98% funding, more or less. And so it is quite amazing value. So for data protection, we got a PDPC official content. We have Oracle for software development, Java developer, and so on and so forth. You can see this list of partners that we have. So it's not like we create the content ourselves. The reason why we don't is that it is more value for our trainees in terms of the level of employability that they achieve for us to work with top industry partners. And this is what differentiates us from the IHLs as well. So a lot of the Institute of Higher Learning, what they do, and there's nothing wrong with it because this is good by itself. I mean, they rely on their diploma, and then, for example, if it is a poly, they use the poly branding. If it's a college, it's a college branding. So for us, we are different from that in the sense that we use the company or the industry's branding. So for example, if you are doing network engineering, which hardware do you use in the industry? Well, you use Cisco hardware, right? That is the market leader. Or you use Fortinet's kind of hardware, and then they got virtualized solutions. Or you use VMware, something like this. So it makes sense in our perspective, because we concentrate on adult learning, to get their content into our program. And as much as possible, we try to attack certification onto it. But that's our approach all the way through. So for agility, we use IC Agile, for example, and Scrum Alliance, and so on and so forth. Okay? Yeah, so in terms of the potential job roles that you can get from this program, is like, for example, here there's you can read the job roles that we have: associate data analyst, UX designer, project manager, desktop support engineer, and sysadmin. I'll answer all the questions towards the end, yeah, so that we can meet our schedule so we don't go too long. Yeah, so these are the job roles that I currently have. So if you are interested in any of these job roles, you should apply for those job roles, okay? But I just want to add one more thing, right, which is pretty important. A lot of time, right, the skills that you learn from these job roles, for example, project manager, UX designer, data analyst, will allow you to apply for the same industry that you're already in. Let's say you're a finance manager or you're an accountant, right? When you imagine if today I tell you your CV, you put it in front of you, and you put in like I'm able to do data analysis using Power BI. I'm able to use Python programming. I understand how to use Excel to pull data from SQL databases. That entry into your CV as an accountant or a finance manager or just a financial professional will allow you to then increase your chance of getting a job for whatever you are already in. So as a financial manager, accountant, and so on. Because now this skill in data analytics, for example, allows you to stand above the rest. So, for example, if they look at the resume of other financial managers or accountants, they see that you have an edge because you do have these data analytics skills. So while there is a way for you to take this program in order to become a pure this kind of job role. That means perfectly this kind of job roles. It can be also additive. It can add on to your current CV to allow you to get jobs in your current industry as well, which is like a hybrid approach to it. And that is something that we've seen work really well for a lot of our current cohorts for this SGUnited program. We've seen a lot of placement that has come from that. Okay, allow me to continue because I think I'm taking too long in the introduction. There's still a lot of slides coming. So now I'll be covering on the associate data analyst and the UX job role. What I'll be doing is I'll go through the week by week courses inside that we have and give you an intuition on how it is designed so that if you do sign up for it, you sort of know what it is, right? Because at the end of it, you do want to know what you sign up for, right? So let's start with the associate data analyst. Okay, our approach to design the associate data analyst is the approach to increase employability. We make a very conscious effort to not focus um, on being attractive through gimmicks and so on. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. For example, one of the more popular technologies that are out there are blockchain or big data, right? We could infuse that content into our associate data analyst program, but we don't. But we don't. Why don't we? Um, well, these names are very attractive, right? So why don't we infuse blockchain and big data and so on? Well, the reason is if, for example, let's say blockchain, if you go to a company, the chance of that company using blockchain technology is extremely low because what it is it is a distributed ledger and it allows you to decentralize the checking process for the verification process of the ledger and so on. Well, people do use this technology in the financial services, but it is one out of many that don't have. And even if you do get into a company that does use blockchain, you will not be the one coding the blockchain. The product people, the guys who they hired to produce that product, right, will be the developers and so on who will code in the blockchain. So you will not be able to touch it. So while we can teach you how blockchain works and even teach you libraries on how to create a blockchain, it is not useful for you when you ultimately go to a company. That skill is not useful for the company at all. Another example is, for example, big data, right? So big data is a very interesting kind of technology in the sense that it allows people to store very unstructured and fast-flowing data, which is increasingly important in this world where we have IoT and so on. So data from sensors all over Singapore, for example, are very unstructured, very dirty, very messy. So being able to store them in a big data is useful. But the reality is when you go to a company and you look at their business data doesn't use big data at all. They use very nicely structured databases, which are called relational databases. And so most companies will either use Excel spreadsheets to store data or relational databases. And that's what we cover, because these are the kind of data storage that you will have to interact with in a practical setting. If you do go to a company which uses big data, chances are it is very, very slim that the chance that you will be able to interact with their big data framework or whatever that they're using to store their big data. Yeah, so with that in mind, in terms of employability, and I should probably go faster, otherwise we'll go too long. Month number one, we start with Excel. First, Excel. So the reason why Excel is important, because I think a lot of you might think that Excel is super basic, right? Isn't it? So why are we covering something so basic inside the program? There's a very good reason for this. For example, for me, I'm actually very trained in data science, although I'm not a data scientist. So I do study it to the deep level, like information theory, the mathematics behind it. I code data science, I created machine learning models, and so on. Um, the thing is, a lot of times you will want to not learn Excel. So, for example, you have a bunch of data from a company, you want to analyze it. You don't want to use Excel because for me, I know how to use Python. So I pull the data into Python, and then I do the analysis in Python. But that takes a lot of time. So, for example, even if they want a simple insight into the data, I take like 4 hours to do it, or 5 hours to do it, because I need to clean the data, import it into Python, and so on. It's completely unnecessary because Excel is extremely powerful now. So you need to be able to max out the capability of Excel because it's able to do a lot of your data analysis work without you having to go to Python or Power BI or so on. Okay, that's the reason. And a lot of enterprise data reside in Excel spreadsheet. I think you all should know this. They put it in the cloud, right? Everybody just put a lot of Excel spreadsheet in cloud, and it's there. It's not inside the databases. It's inside the cloud Excel spreadsheets. And so you must be able to max out an Excel. So this is what this is. You learn Excel, and then you do some Excel dashboards and so on. This one you'll enjoy a lot. I think you'll really like this. Basics of data science. You'll learn about the overarching big macro view of the what data science is. Like what is supervised learning, what is unsupervised learning, and so on and so forth. Then after that, you learn about relational databases, the one that I spoke about just now, which is databases that are like table-like. Like it looks like a table, and then it can connect to each other. It can relate to each other, right? The way you talk to relational databases is SQL. It's very, very important to know SQL. It's the ABCs of pulling data. If you want to pull data in an enterprise that has a database, chances are you need SQL, and that's what you'll learn. And notice something very interesting. We use Codecademy, for example, to use it. So we try to blend things with online content and physical class. So in this case, we use online platform called Codecademy to allow you to master how to use the SQL syntax, for example. But there'll still be a trainer in class teaching you this. And then you'll do your project. The third month, you'll be learning about mathematics of data science. This will be probably the toughest. So you have to brace yourself. This is not going to be easy. It's going to be something that allows you to understand what's happening behind the algorithms. Because a lot of times in data science, right, the stuff that you use is just one click or one line of code. What's happening behind it is immensely important for you to understand, at least at a conceptual level. But you have no chance to understand what's happening behind it if you do not know the mathematics. So we chose specific mathematics. I mean, mathematics is infinite. The field is huge, right? But we choose the fields in mathematics which is important for data science. And because for us, we are working adults, right? We always get away from mathematics after a while in our career. And so it is going to be a little bit painful for you to then learn this, but you will be among like-minded people just like yourself. This is important because if you don't understand the mathematics behind, this algorithms, right, or the approaches for data science, you will not be able to really know why it goes correctly or it goes wrong. Okay. Next is you'll be learning about a BI tool, which is Power BI, a business intelligence tool. So Power BI is among the most popular business intelligence tool. It's rated as number one by Gartner. If you are not familiar with Power BI, you might know its competitors, Tableau or ClickSense or so on. So they are just the same thing. They are just competing with each other. So we chose Power BI because among the different BI tools that are out there, Power BI is in fact the most affordable, and it is rated as number one by a market research company called Gartner. So what it means is that if you go to an SME, let's say you're interviewing for a small and medium-sized enterprise company, right? You can tell them that if you hire me, I can create a dashboard for you, and you can use Power BI, which is pretty affordable. You can afford it. Yeah. So these are some of the thinking that we had when we choose the kind of content that we have in this program. Lastly, you'll be learning about Python programming. I think this needs no introduction. Python is the number one language that is being used for data science, and it has the largest community for data science as well. And some of you might be asking why not other languages like R. I get this question a lot in these kind of sessions. So the reason why we chose Python is because Python is a full language. So what it means is that Python preceded this data analytics skew that it currently happened, right? So even before that, Python is used for computation a long time ago. And because of that, it has a rich library for application in other fields. So for example, you can create a web page, right? The backend stuff, for example, the logic and so on, using Python. But you can't do that with R. At least I don't think you can elegantly do it in R unless someone hacked something up recently or something. But it's not something that people do. You can use Python to create games. You can use Python to interact with the stock markets, for example. So Python libraries are very broad. They are bigger in terms of the stuff that is being developed in Python. So what it means is that when you learn data science using Python, you won't learn everything in this course. It's just a few months long. This is a lifetime worth of learning that you can do. You'll be able to self-learn new stuff later on, right? So this is the reason why you choose Python. Then you'll be learning machine learning using Python. So a lot of you learn about AI, right? Artificial intelligence. AI is an umbrella term for anything that mimics intelligence or human intelligence, something like that. And by far, the approach that is getting a lot of success today because of the increase in computational capability and how cheap it is now for fast computers, as well as the availability of data. It allows you to create machine learning models which are very powerful. So when they say AI nowadays, a lot of time they are referring to machine learning, and that's what you'll be learning here. And then that'll be the end. And then after that, you'll do 3 months of projects based on what you've learned. Okay. UX. I think I should go faster. Okay. Next is UX. Okay. User experience is about making things user centric. Okay. I will give you guys an intuition on what UX is by an analogy. Have you wondered why what makes one bank different from another? Think about it. Let's say if you compare DBS or UOB or HSBC or whatever, maybe at the retail banking sector, right? That means for us, for the consumers, right? How does one bank differ from another? If you think about it, their financial products, right, are about the same, right? Is maybe their marketing is a bit different. Sometimes they go for prestige and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe a little bit different, but more or less, all the products in the banks are about the same. So how do they really differ with each other, one another? So one of the reasons why we choose one bank over the other is the experience that we have in the bank, from using their software like the digital banking, how intuitive it is, how safe it is, how easy it is to use, or the way we go to the bank itself and we queue up, right? And how we feel in the bank, how the experience is. So user experience makes one bank better than another bank, for example. And that is why a lot of companies in the financial sector are hiring a lot of UX designers, because these differentiate them from one another. And this is what user experience is. It's about designing things around the needs of the customer, of the user. All right. But our SKU here inside this program is more towards creating of user interface and software, because this is the biggest growth in UX. That means a lot of people are creating platform like Grab and so on. Then they have UI, right, user interfaces that they create, or websites, or detailed products. So in that case, right, in those cases, you need UX for the application of creating digital software and products. So in UX, there's two parts to it. One part of it is about making things easy to use, making things intuitive. So this is the usability side of things. And the other half of it is about making things persuasive. So it's nothing to do with making things easy to use. It's about, like, for example, if we have a banking app, we want to make someone do something in the banking app. For example, I want you to invest through the bank. And that's how banks earn money also, right? They take some management fee for your investment, and that's how they earn. So you want to nudge people to do that. How do you design your app to nudge people to do that? So it's about modeling the user. Maybe if the user is a mother, right? Maybe it's about investing for the kid, something like that. So this is the persuasion part, about the nudging part of things. So here, this side, we have the HFI CUA, Certified Usability Analyst program. And over this side, we have the CDPA, the Digital Persuasion Analyst. And these are the linchpin of the program. So the CUA and CDPA are the linchpin of the program, and it forms the backbone of the projects that you're gonna do. Because it's one thing to learn how to do these things; it's another to apply it, and that's how the program works. So you learn CUA, and you learn. So month number one, the first course that you do, and then month number three, you learn CDPA. Got it? Then on the first month, you'll also learn how to do wireframing. That means how to create a mock-up of the software. So this is Adobe XD. Then you'll be learning Adobe Photoshop also. Then you'll do a project using the CUA technique. So this is the first time you try to apply CUA. It's gonna be not so easy, really. So the first time you do it, normally it's a bit clunky, and then we'll apply it a second time here. And here you get stronger at doing it. You also learn other. We don't want you to only learn how to do UX. We also want you to learn how to use creative tools like Adobe XD, Photoshop, Illustrator, and so on. The software, the software we will purchase for you, and we will, as long as you are in the program, will award it to you, so you can use this software on your own computer remotely. So just for me to emphasize also, the data analytics program just now is done remotely because of the COVID situation. We don't want to increase the risk, right? It's a 9 month program. It's very long. The UX is also quite similar. Some of the program can be are in classroom, a few of them, but a lot of them, most of them are done remotely. We take the approach which is actually more expensive for us. We purchase the Adobe licenses, and we allow you to install it on your own computer. So this allows you then, even outside of the class. Let's say, Isa, I got a class these 2 days, and the next 3 days I don't have class at all. You can practice, because you have the software installed in your computer. Okay. Okay, I'll fast forward a bit because I'm going too long. Month number 4, you'll be learning about. Okay, for example, month number 3, you learn about persuasion, and then you apply the persuasion. You learn a bit about video editing as well. Month number 4, you'll be learning about front end development a little bit. Okay, it's good that you can create a wireframe. You know how it's gonna be, the software is gonna look like using wireframes, the stuff that you learned earlier. But someone will have to implement it into a real website, for example, right? So that someone is called a front end developer. So a front end developer is the person who takes your ideas and create the user interface itself. And the language in which they use to create those pages is HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS. We'll teach you the very basic of it. You won't be a front-end developer. You don't want to be. It's a completely different role, this front-end developer. But you would want to know what is a website made of, what's inside a website, right? And so that you know the limitations of what you can and cannot do. And that's what you'll learn here. And then we believe in making sure a person is well-rounded. We want the program to not just be about technical skills, but about adaptive skills, about soft skills, because it really does matter. A lot of time when we go for interviews, right, the reason why the employer do not choose a person and choose another over that person is because of soft skills reason as opposed to technical skills reason. So because of that, programs often you'll see on month number 4 and 5 or 5 and 6, something like that, you'll see the infusion of soft skills. So over here, this is not the soft skills yet. Okay, this is you'll be learning about agile project management, the way things people do nowadays in UX teams. Most companies with a UX team do not do the normal way, like a normal project management. They'll do agile project management. You'll learn about it here. I got no time to expand upon this. A lot of UX designers also work in companies which make software. If you are in a company that makes software, they'll be doing this thing called a software development lifecycle, which is like a thing that you have to know. Otherwise, you can't make sense of what's happening. Okay, and then on project 4, you'll be doing something. And finally, month number 5 and 6, we infuse certain strategic soft skills that we think is very important for you to know within the program. And then after that, you'll do a summative capstone where you deepen your skills on both the creative side as well as the UX side. Okay, to increase your entries into your portfolio. Okay, so these are some of the certifications that or companies that we partner up with for this UX designer program. So you can see that we have Adobe courses, we have HFI, Microsoft also, the Power BI and stuff like that is an official Microsoft course. We didn't create it ourselves. IABA and Chris training for some of the blended stuff that you have inside the program. Okay. Um, so some of the certifications that you can go for is CUA. Another one is CDPA, which is not included here. FYI, for the CUA, right, the exam that if you want to take the exam after the course, normally you have to pay for it, isn't it? So you take the course and then you pay for the exam. So that's the normal thing that you have to do. But we bundled in the exam, right? 2 times for the CUA, two tries. That means if you fail for the first time, you can try the second time. Okay, you fail the second time, then you have to pay for the third time. All right. CDPA is also the same. Um, it's bundled into the program, so you don't have to pay extra to take the exam, which is awesome because it is something that you would want to do. Okay. And yeah, so that's the description of the first two, the data analyst and UX job role. I hope you have a greater understanding for it. Let me look at the Q&A, whether there's any questions. Yeah, I think a lot of the questions here, I think it's quite a lot of it. So for example, let me see, just a moment, just a second. Yeah, so maybe I think the questions are quite broad and a lot of it is answered. So allow us, if we cannot answer the questions within this program, right? We will try to answer it after the program. We'll collate all the questions, we'll do the answer, and we'll email it to you guys at the same time. The reason is that I think a lot of you have a lot of questions, and we want to make sure they are answered, but we do not want to go ultra long because this presentation is quite long. So to present the rest of the job role as well as the technicalities, like what are the funding requirements, there's a lot of it. So you guys can listen up and you have to adhere by it because of the fact that it's a funded course. I have my colleague Senthil to present the rest of the presentation. So I'll stop sharing. Let me make you the host.
Okay.
Okay, so Senthil, you're host now. And
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Lisa. Okay, let me bring up my screen. Okay, can you see?
Yes, can see.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Lisa. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Senthil, and I'm going to walk you through the 3 other roles for today. So I'm going to talk about the Associate Project Manager Scrum Master, and followed by that, I'm going to talk about Desktop Support Engineer, and the last role will be Systems Administrator. Yeah. And after I cover these 3 roles, right, I'm going to go into the FAQs and the program terms and conditions. So many of you ask questions like, hey, what happens if I find a job halfway? Can I leave the program? Is there any penalty if I leave halfway? And will NTUC Learning Hub help to arrange for internship, attachment, or job placement? So I'm going to go through all those, like the questions in the second half of my presentation today. So let me begin with the program overview for the Associate Project Manager Scrum Master. Yeah. Okay. So if you think of project management, right? So there is a popular methodology called Waterfall Approach. Okay. So a waterfall approach is actually called the grandfather of project management strategies. So in the waterfall approach, right, the method adopted here is called sequential approach. That means you have to do step A before you do step C. Okay, a step B. And likewise, you must do step B before you can do step C. And finally, at the end of the project, you will have a big outcome. Okay, so this is the traditional way of doing projects. But now, right, if you look at the modern way of doing projects, it's called Agile. So Agile project management, the idea is to start small, iterate, pivot until you reach a good product. Okay, so you follow an iterative approach, and then at every stage, right, you're trying to improve your outcome. Yeah, so the reason for Agile approach, right, you see, customers do not have patience today. Okay, so in the past, if you look at a typical project cycle time, right, it used to be 2 years, but now customers want everything fast, and therefore the project duration has shrunk to weeks or months, right? So it's not uncommon. It's not really uncommon these days, to see project durations which are like 1 month or less. Yeah, because customers want everything fast. Okay, so that's number one change. And number two, today, right, a project manager, right, is expected to master, or not even master, at least expected to know a variety of methodologies. Okay, there are many types of project management methodologies like the Agile, the Scrum, the Lean. So there are many things that a project manager should be aware of. So today, if you're a project manager with background and experience only in waterfall methodology, okay, the skills are obsolete. So you need to have a background on Agile and a project management as well. And that is what we are going to cover in the program. Okay. So let me share with you what exactly we cover in the program. Okay, the first module is called Project Management for All. So some of you may be totally new to project management. Some of you may already be experienced project managers. So we are going to start off with a basic course called Project Management for All. So you will learn what is project management, what is traditional way of doing projects, what is agile way of doing projects. And you will also be exposed to project management tools like Jira, Trello, and similar tools are, because today these are the commonly used tools for project management. Because learning theory is not enough. End of the day, to manage projects, you need to use a tool, right? So we will be exposing you to a number of project management tools in this foundational level course. In the second part, you will be learning project management methodologies, in particular the traditional project management methodologies following the waterfall approach. So namely, you will be going through Prince2 Foundation. We will also prepare you for the PMP exam, the project management professional, which is considered the gold standard in the project management industry. Yeah. And there is also a course on Microsoft Project. Okay, so Microsoft Project is a very commonly used tool for managing projects. So we also have a course on that. And after you master the traditional way of doing projects, right, then we will get into the agile way of doing projects. So there are courses like Certified Scrum Master, Scrum Product Owner, IC Agile, Agile Team Facilitation. Okay, so basically in the first 2 months, you will be familiar with the both traditional way and the modern agile way of doing projects. When you go to month 3, right, you will learn more about managing project risks. So we do have a course on that, PMI Risk Management Professional. And then we will get into service management. Okay, for those of you who are involved in IT related projects, right? Okay, so it's important for you to know ITIL. What is ITIL? And then the service management. Yeah. And then we will also be covering process improvement. Okay, the fundamentals of Lean Six Sigma concepts, like what are the types of ways, okay, how to apply the lean techniques, okay, how to improve your productivity, things like that. Okay, the next one is business analysis. Okay, in many organizations, right, especially in IT organizations, the project manager will double hat as a business analyst. Okay, or the project manager will work closely with a business analyst. Okay, and because of that, we are also introducing a course on business analysis here. So there is a course called Entry Certificate in Business Analysis, and this is coming from a Canada-based organization, called IIBA. Okay, and because most projects, right, are becoming technical in one way or other, it's also important for you to understand the software development life cycle. Okay, so in a software, like, right, starting from the requirement gathering all the way to the project completion, right, it's important for everybody. So today, even though you're not in an IT related project, it's important for you to know, because technology is like coming into every domain. Yeah, so even if you take like marketing, HR, finance, okay, all these domains, right, you have to deal with technologies moving forward, definitely. So it's important for you to understand the SDLC. Yeah. The next one is change management. So we work with John Cotter Institute for change management, and project managers are also expected to be good negotiators, because you have to negotiate with vendors or even within your organization, right? So we do have a lot of soft skills, and we work with best-in-class partners, right? Like John Cotter, John Wiley, and for people management and leadership, we work with John Maxwell Institute. Okay, and there are also courses on online communication and collaboration. So today, right, project managers, especially in a COVID world, okay, the project manager is not meeting the team members face to face every day. So everything happens virtually, and the project manager is actually managing virtual teams, not only based in Singapore, but based in other countries, for example, right? So it's important for a project manager to be able to communicate and collaborate online. So we will teach courses like Office 365, okay, Google Suite, okay, so you know how to collaborate in real time with your project team members. Okay, the next important topic is data visualization and data presentation. Okay, as a project manager, right, you have to do a lot of presentations within your team and as well as to the various stakeholders, okay, even to your clients, right? So we are actually going to teach you Microsoft Power BI and another tool called ClickSense, okay? And with that, you can actually build your own data dashboards. Yeah. And the last part is cybersecurity and Pdpa, because many projects involves customers' personal information. Okay, and therefore it's important for you as a project manager to understand the gist of Pdpa, what this Personal Data Protection Act is all about. Okay. And increasingly, all the projects, right, that you see, the communication, collaboration, everything is happening online, right? And so it's important for project managers to also understand cybersecurity, the basics, like what kind of threats, okay, that a person should be aware of. So that is also covered in the program. So if you look at our content partners, right, so all these are like best-in-class partners that we have collaborated with. So for example, PMI, so certifications like PMP, CAPM, PMI, RMP are coming from PMI. Okay, and give me a minute. Yeah, the next one is Prince2. So Prince2 Foundation. So this is actually coming from a UK-based body called Axelos. Yeah, and then we work with Scrum Alliance for the Certified Scrum Master and Certified Scrum Product Owner. And the IC Agile certification is coming from IC Agile. Okay. So overall, right, this program will prepare you to sit for at least 10 different certifications. But as a value-added service, right, we will be bundling some exam vouchers as part of your program. For example, Prince2 Foundation, Certified Scrum Master, Certified Scrum Product Owner. So these are some exams that are actually provided to you as a value-added service when you participate in this program. Yeah, because certifications play an important role when you look for a job as a project manager. So this is actually a value-added service that NTUC Learning Hub is going to provide to our participants. Okay, I move on to the next role, which is called the SGUS Desktop Support Engineer. Okay, so let me quickly explain what is the role of desktop support engineer. So desktop support engineers are IT support specialists who assist clients with hardware and software issues. They provide on-site and remote technical assistance, including the setting up of computer hardware systems, installing and upgrading software, and troubleshooting basic IT issues. So today, right, if you are totally new to IT, let's say you do not have any IT background, but you want to step into an IT career, right? So this can be a very good starting point for you, okay? Because by going through this program, you're going to really start from the basics, okay? We go at the hardware level, we go and we cover the fundamentals of networking, how computers talk to each other. We talk about the basics of security, okay? What is a client, what is a server, and things like that. So let's say you want to become a cybersecurity professional in future, right? this can be a starting point because you're gonna get all the foundational topics, okay? And once you master this and you get experience as a desktop support engineer for a couple of years, then you can progress further as a network engineer or a system administrator. And once you gain 2 more years of experience as a network engineer, right, you can go further, okay, as a cybersecurity, like a candidate. Okay, that's a progression pathway. Okay, if you are interested in becoming a cybersecurity specialist. So in every organization, right, so be it a mid-sized or a large organization, like there is an IT department, and there are like professionals helping users, like let's say something is wrong with your laptop or desktop. So these are the professionals that the employees look out for. Let's say I cannot access my printer. Okay, I cannot access my shared drive. So I look out to an expert, and this expert is called desktop support engineer. Yeah, and increasingly, right, many organizations are allowing employees to bring in their own devices. Okay, there is so-called the BYOD, bring your own device, right? So some users bring Mac devices, some bring Windows devices. So the desktop support professionals, right, are required to master both Windows 10 and Mac OS administration. So that is what we are going to cover in the program. Okay, so this person can actually, work in any kind of environment, regardless of whether they are using a Mac or a Windows environment. And the third part, which is the interesting part, is virtualization. So today, right, in large organizations, the employees, right, they do not buy expensive hardware to their employees. Okay, so what they buy is just a thin client, like a device which is only like a few $100s, like a thin client. All the data is sitting on the cloud. Okay, so the data is not sitting on the thin client. Okay, the data is sitting on the cloud. So even if the thin client, the laptop is lost, okay, the employer can actually wipe out everything remotely because the data is not sitting on the device, it's on the cloud. So that is called desktop virtualization. So we will also teach this as part of our program. Yeah, so let's look at the modules covered. So as I mentioned earlier, we are really going to start off at the foundation level. So even if you do not have any IT background, okay, this program will be suitable for you. So we start with IT fundamentals part 1, part 2, which is actually preparing participants for the Comptia A+ level certification exam. So you will learn the parts of computer, like what is motherboard, what is RAM, what are the different types of cable, okay, what is an operating system, how to install an operating system, and things like that. Then you will learn the fundamentals of server administration. Okay, so we will introduce you to Windows Server, and then you will learn like what is computer networking and what are the basics of computer security. Okay, so once you learn the fundamentals, which will be over the first 2 to 2.5 months, then we will teach you Windows 10 administration. Okay, followed by that, you will master the Mac OS administration. Yeah, so actually just by going through this part, you are actually able to find a job. That means after you go through 4 months of our program, right, you're already, like prepared to find a job as an entry-level desktop support person. But for you to enhance your knowledge and skills, right, and to for probably to aim for a better salary, you can actually go for the the upcoming technology called virtualization. Okay, so as of today, the virtualization is very common in large organizations, but I think in the coming years it's going to be a very common thing in the small and medium enterprises as well. Yeah, so it's important for you to master these modern technologies like desktop virtualization. Okay, and besides that, we will also cover the best practices, okay, and the fundamentals of cloud. Okay, we will also talk about the fundamentals of project management, cybersecurity awareness, and soft skills. Soft skills is extremely important for this job role. Okay, because right, most of the time as a desktop support engineer, the participants has to provide remote support. Okay, so most of the time, let's say your computer is wrong, what we do, we just call the helpline, the hot desk. Okay, somebody will pick up and say, hey, what's wrong? Hey, I cannot access my hard drive. Okay, so this person, the desktop support engineer, has to be polite. He must be an excellent problem solver. Yeah, so all those skills will be taught in this program. So if you look at the certifications, right, so again, this program, just like the project management track, it prepares you for a number of certifications. Yeah, like Comptia A+, Comptia Network Plus, Security Plus, and 3 MTA certifications from Microsoft, and also Microsoft Modern Desktop Administrator Associate, Apple Certified Support Professional, yeah, and then VMware Certified Professional, Agile Foundation. So as a value-added service, we are going to provide some exam vouchers as part of your program. Okay. So this is desktop support. And the last role is systems administrator. So this program, right, is not really meant for beginners to IT. So let's say you are somebody with experience. Okay, let's say you have 2 years of experience as a desktop support engineer, or you have worked as a network engineer before. Okay, let's say for 1 year or more. Or even if you don't have any experience, right, let's say you have an IT related background. Yeah, and you have taken a degree or a diploma in IT infrastructure related domain, right? In that case, you may consider systems administrator role. So although the title is called systems administrator, right, the role that will prepare you for is actually cloud administrator. So cloud is something hot in the market today. Okay, and in this program we will be covering the cloud administration as well. Yeah, so in the first part of the program, we assume that some of you are totally new to the program, so we will still start off with the fundamentals. Okay, like like what you saw for the desktop support engineer. But in the second month, right, we are going to go into really difficult topics. Okay, so like Windows Server 2016 administration, and then how to virtualize. Yeah, so we have the content is coming from VMware, and this is a course, VMware install, configure, and manage. And then you will also be exposed to the clouds. Okay, so today the two most popular clouds are coming from Amazon, the AWS, and Microsoft Azure. So you'll be exposed to both of them. And finally, you will also be learning the best practices and essential knowledge like ITIL, what is DevOps, project management, and so on. Yeah, and this program will also prepare you for a number of certifications. Okay, so if you want to know more about the program, the outlines, you can refer to our website. Okay, in the absence of time, so let me quickly go into the program TNCs. Okay, I have quite a lot of things to cover in this segment. Okay, program prerequisites. Okay, so the prerequisites are already stated on our website, but let me just highlight some of the key points. Okay, so for associate data analyst and systems administrator, right, the participants should minimally have a diploma in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics related discipline. Okay, the reason is for these two roles, right, the participants have to be excellent problem solver. That means you have to be very good at mathematics and problem solving skills. So this is the entry criteria for data analyst and systems administrator. Okay, whereas for roles like desktop support engineer, okay, this is a really most basic IT program that we have. Okay, so the bar is not very high. So as long as you have a NITEC in any discipline, you can apply for this program for desktop support engineer. Likewise, for the associate UI UX designer, as long as you have a higher NITEC in any discipline, you can apply for this program. Okay, whereas for the role of project manager scrum master, right, okay, this program is open for anyone, okay, regardless of your background, but the minimum qualification is diploma. Okay, but in the absence of diploma, right, you can actually offset with the employability skills framework, you know, the ESWSQ level 6. Yeah, so you can find more information on our website, but I just want to highlight some of the key points. Okay, so coming to the funding components, right, so this program, the SGUnited Skills program, it comprises of two funding components. One is called course fee subsidy, the second is called training allowance. Yeah, so for this illustration purpose, right, I'm taking a program which is 9 months long. Okay, 9 months duration. So at NTUC Learning Hub, we have two types of programs. Some of them are 6 months long, some of them are 9 months long, but for this illustration, I'm choosing a 9 months long program. Okay, so a 9 month long program, right, it will typically cost about $27,000. And after the government subsidy, the net payable fee is $750, right? So the government is actually subsidizing close to $26,250, right? Okay, for you to be eligible for this course fee subsidy, you have to meet this eligibility criteria. Okay, let me read out. First, you must achieve 75% attendance for each course capstone project. Okay, second, sit and pass all prescribed assessments and the capstone project. Okay, I give an example. So I go back a couple of slides. So when I say each course, right, so take for example the systems administrator track. This particular track has multiple courses. Okay, so each of them is a course. IT Fundamentals Part 1 is a course. IT Fundamentals Part 2 is another course. So for each course, you must meet minimum 75% attendance. Okay. And for every course, there is an assessment. And it is compulsory for you to sit and pass the assessment to be eligible for the course fee subsidy of the 26,000 plus grant that you're getting from the government. Okay, a lot of people ask me, hey, assessment are like so difficult, right? What if I fail? Do I have to pay back everything? Okay, I will tell you, don't worry about the assessment. It's a common question I get from participants when I do this kind of webinars. Okay, so in case if you fail the assessment, okay, don't worry. We are going to give you another chance and there is no cost involved for the assessment. So now the question is, what happens if I fail the assessment the second time? Okay, we are going to give you another try, third attempt. Okay, so far I have not seen any candidate, failing even at the third time. So most of them, right, they managed to pass in the first attempt as long as they attend the lessons, follow the instructor. Okay, they will pass in the first time. Only the, rare occasions, we get students going for a reassessment, maybe once, worst case scenario, 2 times. I have not seen any candidate going for, a third or fourth reassessment so far. Yeah, so do not worry about the assessments. Okay, so this is the course fee subsidy part. The second part is called training allowance. Okay, so as part of this program, the participants will receive up to $1,200 per month for up to 9 months. Okay, so if you're going for a 6 months program, you get $1,200 per month for 6 months. Whereas for a 9 months long program, it's $1,200 per month for 9 months. But let's look at the eligibility criteria. The participants should achieve minimum 75% attendance or 60 hours of training project work per month, okay, whichever is higher. Okay, let me explain what this is. Okay, let's say NTUC Learning Hub schedules classes for 20 days in a month. Okay, you have to attend minimum 15 days out of 20 days. Okay, because 15 out of 20 days is 75% attendance, right? So that's for the training allowance. At the course fee subsidy, we are looking at individual modules. So for every module, you must meet 75% attendance. Whereas when it comes to the training allowance, it's every month. Every month, you must meet minimum 75% attendance. Okay. Okay, I see that a lot of you are posting questions. I'm very sorry. I'm going to go through all your questions later. It's a bit difficult for me to, run my presentation and also look at your questions. Okay, program TNCs. Trainees must achieve at least 75% attendance, which I covered earlier. And participants must submit all assessment works and project works for your selected program, attend and pass all prescribed test assessments, and complete all your project works within the stipulated time frame. Okay. And for each course, there is also a course evaluation survey that you have to participate in. At the end of the program, either NTUC Learning Hub or Skills Future Singapore will be doing a survey. Okay, so this is also a survey that you have to participate in. Okay, absentees. So this is a common question we get. Hey, what happens if I need to take leave, or what happens if I am on MC? Okay, trainees must attend all courses in the program. In the event of any leave of absence, valid reasons must be provided, and approval will be granted on a case-by-case basis. Okay, so some people even ask me, hey, my daughter is on MC. Okay, so I need to take care of her. Is that considered a valid reason? Okay, I do get questions like, hey, I need to take my parent for a medical appointment. Is that considered a valid reason? Yes, all these are considered valid reasons. So as long as you provide us with a supporting document, okay, we can allow you to not to attend that lesson for that month, for that class. Yeah. Exemption. Okay, so some people ask, hey, I have already taken some of these courses before, so can I be exempted from this course? Okay, the answer is no. So even though you have attended some of these courses before, okay, maybe through another funding schemes or with other training providers, you still have to attend the same course again under this SGUnited program. Yeah, because the government is giving you the training allowance, right? And for that, you have to meet a certain number of hours every month, right? So because of that reason, you have to attend all the modules in this program. No exemptions will be given. Okay, the third question, deferment. No deferment of module or program will be allowed. Okay, so some people ask me, hey, I think I need to take a break for a month, okay, because I have this emergency at home. So can I defer for a month and then I rejoin the program later? Okay, so deferment is not allowed. Okay, the reason is, right, at the national level, there are only a limited number of training places under SGUnited. Yeah. And this SGUnited program is offered by many training providers like NTUC Learning Hub and also the various universities, polytechnics, and also other private training providers. Okay, so this, I think there are only like 20,000 training places at the national level. Okay, so let's say somebody is telling me, hey, I want to defer my program. What it means, right, is actually going to waste a seat, right? Because when you defer a program and when you rejoin the program, we cannot put you in the same cohort. We have to put you in the next cohort. And what that means is in the next cohort, that one seat is kind of wasted. Okay, so because there are very limited number of training places at the national level, and because we want to help as many Singaporeans and PRs as possible, we cannot allow participants to defer. Okay. Okay, the next question we get. Trainees must enroll in only one SGUS program. And once your program commences, trainees are prohibited from transferring to another SGUS program, be it a program offered by NTUC Learning Hub or by other training providers. Okay, it's the same reason which I gave for deferment. Okay, because if you're transferring from one program to another, right, it means that one seat is wasted. Yeah, and because of this limited number of seats, and as we want to help as many candidates as possible, we cannot allow participants to transfer to another program. Okay, so I'm going to go through the 16, the 16 most frequently asked questions that I usually receive from participants. Okay, so the first question: when and how will trainees receive their monthly training allowance? Trainees will receive their training allowance by the 14th of the subsequent month via Pay Now. Okay, please take note, it's Pay Now. I have seen candidates who confuse Pay Now with Payla. Okay, so please take note, it's Pay Now. And the participants should link their NRIC number with Pay Now. Okay, this is important. Yeah. Okay, I have seen candidates, right? So for the cohorts that we have run so far, I have seen most candidates, they used to receive the training allowance by the 7th of the following month. Okay, meaning to say, let's say your program is commencing in March, right? You will get your first training allowance in the month of April, and usually the payout is on 7th. But I have seen candidates, right, even though they are in the same class, some will receive on 7th, some on 8th, some on 9th. Okay, and the extreme scenario, the candidate received on 14th. Okay, so there is no fixed date. Okay, so common question again, hey, can you give me one fixed date? Okay, the training allowance is not coming from NTUC Learning Hub. It's coming from Skills Future Singapore. So our role here, right, every month, training providers like NTUC Learning Hub, we will submit your attendance data to Skills Future Singapore. We will usually submit this on 28th or 29th every month. And then Skills Future will process that data, and then they will transfer the funds to your bank account directly via Pay Now. Okay, so usually it's 7th, but some may get on 8th or 9th. So there is no fixed date, yeah. Will trainees be notified once the monthly training allowance has been dispersed? Trainees will receive notifications through My Skills Future app regarding the status of their monthly training allowance. So you can track the status through this app. So either you can download this mobile app or you log into My Skills Future website with your SingPass, and then you can find the status of your training allowance payout. Are there any terms and conditions for training allowance? Yes, I shared with you before. The participants must achieve minimum 75% attendance every month to qualify for training allowance. So I repeat the example I gave. So if NTUC Learning Hub is scheduling classes for 20 days in a month, for example, okay, you have to attend 15 days because 15 out of 20 days is 75% attendance. Will trainees be eligible for training allowance if they do not complete the program? Okay, so the first point, trainees will only be eligible for training allowance for the months in which they attend training and meet the minimum attendance requirement. Okay, I give an example for this point. Let's say your program is commencing in March, right? It's a 9-month long program, and your program is commencing in March. Okay, for some reason, right, you are not able to meet your minimum attendance for the month of June. Okay, in that case, only for the month of June, there will not be any training allowance. Whereas the remaining 8 months in your program, as long as you meet 75% attendance every month, you will get training allowance for the 8 months, except that 1 month, June, because you have not met the 75% attendance. Okay, that's point number 1. Point number 2, the training allowance will be discontinued once a trainee leaves the program, including early exit due to job placement. There is no proration of training allowance for trainees who leave after completing a partial month of training. Okay, I give an example for this point also. Okay, so this program, right, it actually allows you to exit at any point of time, provided you found a job. Okay, I give an example. So let's say your program commences in March, and by July, you're telling us, hey, I found a job and I want to exit this program. Okay, and let's say you are giving this notice to us on July 22nd, yeah, for example. So even though you have attended lessons from 1st July to say 20th July and have met the 75% attendance requirement for the month of July, you will not get any training allowance for that month of July. Yeah, that's what the point number 2 states. Okay. Okay, the next question is a common question we get. Why did I receive less than $1,200 of training allowance in a particular month? So some of you, right, may be getting less than $1,200. And if that happens to you, it could be due to 2 reasons. Let me share with you what are the reasons. The first reason, the trainee is concurrently receiving income relief schemes under COVID-19 recovery grant. Okay, so let's say you are currently a beneficiary of COVID-19 recovery grant. Okay, so COVID-19 recovery grant, right, the payout is between $500 per month to $700 per month for a period of 3 months. Okay, so let's say you are getting $700 per month from COVID-19 recovery grant. In that case, you will only get $500 per month as part of your SGUS training allowance. So if you add these 2 components, right, if you add the $700 you're getting from COVID-19 recovery grant plus the $500 that you're getting from the SGUS program, it's still $1,200. So at the government, from the government's perspective, right, the maximum training allowance you can get in a month is $1,200. Okay, so if you're benefiting from CRG and CRG, if they are paying $700, the maximum you can claim from SGUnited training allowance is only $500. But let's say your CRG grant is expiring in March, April, May. So May, okay, let's say it's a 3 months grant, and your grant is expiring in May. Okay, from June onwards, you can expect to receive the full $1,200 under the SGUnited Skills Program. Yeah. So the point here is, if you're getting some other grant like CRG grant, okay, then you will probably getting a lesser amount under the SGUnited Skills Program training allowance. Okay, but no matter what, the sum of all the grants you receive per month is maximum $1,200. Okay, the second possible reason why you are getting less than $1,200. The training program attended by the trainee commenced in the middle of the calendar month, and hence the training allowance has been prorated. Okay, so the way SSG calculates your training allowance, right, it depends on your program commencement date. Okay, so let's say your program is commencing in the first half of the month, which is 1st to 15th of a calendar month. In that case, you can expect to receive full month of training allowance in the following month. Okay, example, if we are starting your, let's say your program is commencing on 3rd March. Okay, 3rd March is actually the first half of the month, right? So you can expect to receive the full $1,200 in April. Okay, that's the point number 1. The second point, right? If your program start date is in the second half of the month, okay, between 16th to 31st of the month, then you will only get half month training allowance. Okay, another example, if your program is starting on 17th March, then your payout for April will only be $600. Okay, so what happens to the remaining $600? You will be getting in the 10th month. Okay, so that is how we are going to design our program. So if your program is starting on the second half of the month, we will actually stretch this program over a period of 10 months in such a way that you will still get 9 months of training allowance. Okay, the only thing is the first month and the 10th month you're getting half, but overall it's still 9 months of training allowance. So these are the 2 possible reasons why you are getting less than $1,200 of training allowance per month. Okay, the next question, which I already received from some of you, am I allowed to take part-time jobs to supplement my income? Yes. So this program doesn't prevent anybody from taking up part-time jobs. So as long as your part-time jobs doesn't conflict with your training duration or capstone project duration, you can take up those part-time opportunities. While attending SGUS program, can I attend additional courses with NTUC Learning Hub or other training providers or IHLs, like IHLs meaning the universities and polytechnics? Okay, so the answer is yes and no, depending on the duration of the program that you're going for. Let's say you tell me, hey, I'm going for a short course. Okay, a short course can be like 1 day or even at most 5 days. So 1 day to 5 days. As long as your short course doesn't conflict with your SGUnited program, you can go for short courses. Yeah. Whereas if you tell me, hey, I'm going for a part-time degree or a part-time diploma or a full-time, okay, be it part-time or full-time. So if you're going for a program, a longer program, okay, then this is not encouraged. The reason, right, the SGUnited program is already so intensive, and somebody was asking me, what is the average number of training days in a month? Okay, on average, it's about 16 days in a month. Okay, if you include all the trainings and the capstones, 16 days is what you have to commit. Yeah, so if you're taking up another program, right, it's going to be really stressful for you. So this is not encouraged. Okay, the next question. Is it possible for me to switch to another SGUS program midway? Okay, I answered this before. One trainee can enroll in only one SGUS program. And once the program commences, the trainee is prohibited from transferring to another program, be it a program offered by NTUC Learning Hub or by other providers. Okay, the next question. Will trainees who fail the program be required to refund the course fee subsidy? Okay, so I hope you remember the slide where I spoke about the two funding components. So one is called the course fee subsidy, which is where the government is subsidizing the 26,000 plus, for this program. The second part is called training allowance, right? So this question is specifically on the first part, the part where I spoke about the 26,000 grant you're getting from the government. Okay, so similar to the existing requirements for other training grants administered by Skills Future Singapore, trainees must fulfill minimum attendance requirement, which is 75%, which I mentioned before, and pass the assessments to qualify for the course fee subsidies. Trainees who are unable to meet these requirements may be asked to return the course fee subsidies they have received. Okay, so please take note of this point. Okay, the next question. If I drop out from the program midway, will I be penalized or required to repay the training allowance and training grants? Okay, so the way the SGUnited program is designed, right, it will allow you to exit the program without any penalty, provided you are successfully placed into a job on your own or through NTUC Learning Hub's assistance. So it doesn't matter whether you find a job on your own or through NTUC. As long as you find a job, you can leave the program at any point of time without any penalty. Okay, if you're leaving this program, right, after finding a job, you have to provide us with some supporting documents. Okay, and we need these documents, and we have to submit these documents to SSG to formally exit you from the program. It works like this. So let's say you find a job and you give me the notice today. Hey, I found a job, right? From tomorrow onwards, you do not have to come for the class. So that's how the program is designed. Yeah. But we will continue to work with you for the next 2 months to get all the supporting documents to formally exit you from the program. So we need documents like a signed letter of job offer acceptance or employment contract. We also need a verification email or a letter from your hiring employer verifying your employment and what job role you're hired for. And 2 months down, we also need a copy of your CPF contribution history or pay slips, okay, indicating your employer's name and employee's details. And we have to submit all these documents to SSG to exit you from the program. So, okay, so long and short, if you give us a notice today, from tomorrow onwards, you do not have to come for the class, but we will continue to work with you for the next 2 months to get all the supporting documents from you. Okay, and as explained before, right, the monthly training allowance will cease immediately upon trainees exit from the SGUS program. Okay, so for example, let's say you are a current trainee. Today is 9th Feb. You give me the notice today. Even though you have attended lessons for the month of February, right, from 1st to 8th, there is no such thing called prorated training allowance or partial training allowance. So there will not be any training allowance at all once you decide to leave the program. But you would have already enjoyed the training allowance for the previous months. So that one is okay. But only when you give the notice for that particular month, there will not be any training allowance. Okay, the next question. Can I exit the program prematurely without securing any job? The program will allow trainees to exit job without any penalty if you are successfully placed into a job or you have secured a job on your own accord while undergoing training. However, please take note, trainees who exit the program without a valid reason may be asked to return the course fee subsidy they have received. Okay. Okay, the next question. Let's say I managed to find a job midway while undergoing training, and I decide to drop out from the SGUnited program. After 1 to 2 months into the new job, I have to leave the job for some reason. In this case, can I rejoin the SGUS program and continue from where I left? Okay, the scenario is like this. So this trainee, right, he used to be one of our SGUnited participant. Okay, so while he was in month 3, he managed to find a job and he exited the program. But after joining the company and working there for a couple of months, right, he has to leave that job. I don't know whether it was because the employer asked him to leave or because he don't like the job, but he has to leave that job. Okay, the question he asked is, hey, I had to leave that job for some reason. I used to be part of your SGUnited program before. Can I rejoin the program and continue from where I left? Okay, the answer is no. The current policy position is that individuals can enroll in SGUS program only once to preserve the limited number of training places under the program for others who require the support. So many of you may wonder why, in what way a seat is being wasted, right? So because this person is telling me, I was already part of your program and I had to leave the program because I found a job, but now I no longer have a job. Can I come back and rejoin the program? So imagine this person, right? He actually took a 2 months long break from the program. So if he's rejoining the program, we cannot be putting him in the same cohort which he originally belonged to. We have to put him in the next cohort. And what that means is in the next cohort is going to waste one seat, and that one seat could have benefited another Singaporean or PR, right? So because of this reason, we cannot allow participants to come back and rejoin the program once they decided to exit the program. Okay. Okay, the next question. Will the SGUnited program include job placements? So while this program operates on a train and place model, right? As I mentioned, and as I mentioned before, my colleague Isa mentioned, we do provide a lot of value-added services, like helping you with a professional photo shoot, helping you to rewrite, polish your CV, cover letter, helping you to create a LinkedIn profile, and then we also mentioned about the job portal that we are building for the purpose of matchmaking employers and candidates like you. And we also mentioned about the dedicated headcounts we are hiring, right, to network with the industry and encourage the employees to come and participate in our career fairs, look out for candidates through our jobs portal and so on, right? So by providing you with all these value-added services, we strongly believe that we can increase your chances of getting a job interview. Yeah, but please take note, this program does not guarantee you with a job. Will SSG allow trainees who did not manage to find a job after completing an SGS program to take up another SGS program? Okay, so the current policy is no. Okay, the reason is something similar to what I shared earlier. Because we want to help as many Singaporeans and PRs as possible, one individual can only enroll in one SGUS program. Are trainees on the SGUnited program eligible for COVID-19 recovery grant? Okay, so because the participants are going to get a monthly training allowance of $1,200 per month. Okay, so let's say once you're accepted into the program, right, into the SGUnited Skills program, you cannot apply for the CRG grant because you're already getting $1,200 per month. Okay, so as monthly training allowances are already provided to SGUnited trainees, individuals who commenced their SGUS program will not be eligible for COVID-19 recovery grant. The training allowance are intended to help cover basic expenses incurred by the trainee over the duration of the training. The training allowance quantum is also higher under the CRG in recognition of training commitment involved. Yeah, I'm sorry, there's a typo. The training quantum is higher for SGUnited. Yeah, because SGUnited pays you $1,200, whereas CRG is only about $500 to $700 per month. Okay, my last FAQ question. Will trainees on the SGUnited Skills program be eligible for the hourly training allowance under the NTUC SCP scheme or workfare support scheme for courses taken under the program? Okay, so many of you may be familiar with the training allowance, right? For example, there are many programs right now which will offer you training allowance like $10 per hour or $11 per hour, right? So the question here is, when I join SGUnited programs, and as I'm going to take up a lot of courses, can I still claim those $10 per hour or $11 per hour allowance? Okay, the answer is no. Okay, because the government is going to provide you with a flat $1,200 training allowance per month. You cannot claim any additional grants, okay, like the $10 per hour or $11 per hour under the SCP scheme or the workfare support scheme. Yeah, so that's all I have. So let me start. I see like there are 41 open questions, so let me try to answer as much as possible. Okay, the question is, the net payable fee is $750, right, for a 9-month-long program. So the question is, can that be deducted? Can that be deducted from Skills Future credit? The answer is yes. Okay, so Singaporeans, right, you can actually use your Skills Future credit to offset that $750. But let's say you have already used your Skills Future credit. Okay, there is another funding scheme called UTAP. Okay, this is coming from NTUC. So union members, right? Those members who are paying $9 a month. Okay, so annually you are paying like $116, $117 a year. But in return, right, the union is giving you $250 every year, which you can use up for your training or skills upgrading. So if you are a union member, you can actually tap on that $250 of UTAP funding. Okay, but if you ask me which one comes first, okay, you have to use your Skills Future credit first, and only if there is any out-of-pocket expenses, then you can use your UTAP to cover for that. But if you are a PR, then you can use UTAP because there is no Skills Future credit for PRs, right? Okay, next question. Okay, somebody asked, is there a tentative date for the commencement of the SGUS courses for UI UX? Actually, for all the 5 roles that we shared with you today, right, we have an upcoming intake in March, in the first half of March. So you may still apply for the program. Yeah. So because we are getting large volume of applications from candidates, right? So so once you apply for the program, the shortlisted candidates will be called for an interview. So the interview is going to be a virtual interview, which will last for about 15 minutes. So we will, during that interview, we will ask you questions like, like how much you know about the role and what are your motivations and what you plan to do after completing the program and things like that. So it's a 15-minute long virtual interview. Okay, is the penalty for $500 subsidized fee or the actual course fee of 15K? Okay, so this question, right? So let me elaborate again. Yeah. So this, I think the question from this candidate is about course fee subsidy. The question this person is asking me is, so what is the penalty if I don't pass my assessments, or if I had to leave the program halfway without any valid reason? Okay, because the government is subsidizing, 26,250, right, for a 9-month-long program. Whereas if it is a 6 months long program, the government is still subsidizing close to $17,000. Yeah, so that is a penalty. Okay, so in case participants are not passing the assessments or leaving the program midway without any valid reason, okay, they will be required to pay back whatever grant they are getting from the government. What is the number of hours of training for us to attend in order to get the $1,200 allowance? Okay, so I repeat this. Okay, for you to get $1,200 per month, right, the participants must achieve minimum 75% attendance or 60 hours, whichever is higher. So please do not get confused when you look at this word 60 hours. Okay, some months the training duration will be less, some months it will be more. So I gave an example before. In the event, let's say NTUC Learning Hub is planning classes for 20 days in a month. Okay, each day is typically 8 hours. Okay, so 20 days means 160 hours, right? In that case, you have to achieve 75% of 160 hours. Okay, so please do not assume that as long as you hit 60 hours, you can get the training allowance. No, it's not like that. Okay, So in the 9 months long program, right? So some months are going to be very intensive, some months are going to be very lightweight. Okay, so every month you look at the number of days of classes we schedule, and based on that, you have to attend minimum 75% for your training allowance. Okay, there's another question. For break during 8 months period, for example, Chinese New Year, if there is any break, will there be any proration to the training allowance? Okay, so when NQC Learning Hub plan our schedules, right, we plan in such a way that we are actually slightly more than the required. So for example, we plan for minimum 10 days in a month. Okay, so that means with that, even if you're absent for 1 day, you are still able to meet the requirements. So that is how we plan our class schedules. Okay, next question. We can exit program halfway if we found a job. What happens when we do not have an offer of job and want to exit the program? Is there any penalty? Yeah. So there will be penalty if there is no valid reason given, because the government is investing significantly on every Singaporean or PR. Okay, and if a person is not really making use of the public funds, right, SSG reserves the right to claw back whatever funding this individual received from the government. Okay, next question. If we found a job placement not related to the course we attended, do we still be allowed to leave the program? Yes, 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 yeah. So there is a recent change in policy. So as long as you found a job, okay, it need not be a job related to the program you're attending. So let's say you used to be a mechanical engineer in the past, for example, right? And you lost your job, and you are now taking up a role as UI UX designer. Halfway in the program, you are getting back the same old job as mechanical engineer. So even if you quit the program and take up that role as mechanical engineer, there is no penalty. Okay. If I finished a SGUS course already, can I go for another one? The answer is no, because of limited number of training places and because we want to help as many candidates as possible. One candidate can only go for one SGUS program. Okay, next question. I will be graduating from an SGUP course in March. Can I apply for SGUnited UI UX designer program? Okay, one candidate, right, can only go for one SGUnited program. So be it a SGUP or SGUS, if you are already going through a program currently, or if you have already completed a program, then you will not be eligible to take part in SGUnited program again. So one trainee can only go for one SGUP or SGUS program. Okay, there's a question on project management course structure. So the structure looks comprehensive, but you mentioned only require basic requirements. Is that practical? Yes, this course is very practical. So at the end of every month, right, there's going to be a capstone project. So whatever you learned in theory in that month, okay, let's say in month 1, you're learning the core project management. At the end of that month, you're going to do a capstone project on the traditional project management. Likewise, in the month 2, you will be working on an agile project management. Month 3, the capstone is on risk management. Month 4, I think it's on data analytics. And then month 5 and month 6, we will focus more on the soft skills. Okay, can we attend 2 out of the list in one after another? Thus total is 18 months. No, I hope your question is, can I go for 2 courses, 2 SGUS programs back to back? Okay, the answer is no. One trainee can only go for one SGUS program. Does the $1,200 allowance have an end date? Yes, it depends. Okay, the training allowance, right, it's actually paid out in the following month. Okay, the example I gave you before. if your program is starting in February, okay, this month, your first payout of training allowance will be in March. Okay, and let's say you're going to complete the full 9 months program, then you can expect to receive the full 9 months of training allowance, okay, until your month 9. But let's say you exit the program halfway, then the program training allowance will stop immediately. Okay, so one of you asked me, I just passed my 60th birthday by 2 months. Can I be eligible for training allowance? When is the digital agri-tech ops manager starting? Okay, so age is not a criteria. So regardless of age, you can still apply for all of our SGUnited programs. Okay, so shortlisted candidates, right, will be called for a virtual interview. Yeah, because we are receiving really high volume of applications for every single program. So therefore, we can only select, the shortlisted candidates, and they will be notified. Okay, one more person said, I am interested in project manager course, and some of the courses for Agile and Scrum I have already taken under IBF. In that case, will I have to repeat these courses? The answer is yes. Yeah, so this is a point I mentioned before. So even though you might have taken some of these courses before through other funding schemes, right, or even with other training providers, you have to take the course again under the SGUnited. What is SF? SF stands for Skills Framework. Okay, this is a question. Okay, from an anonymous attendee. Without much exposure to digital platform, which course is the most basic to begin with? Okay, I really can't understand the question. Okay, let's say you're totally new to IT, right? And if you are interested to, like kickstart your program in IT, your career in IT, right? In that case, you may consider the role of desktop support engineer, because that is going to really start with the foundations, and you can progress further as a network engineer, systems administrator, and even like after that you can go for a cybersecurity kind of role as well. Yeah, actually we do have a lot more SGUnited programs. So today's presentation is exclusively for the 5 roles, but if you like to know more about the other programs, you can visit our website. Okay, I'm going to share that link. Yeah, so you can actually scan this QR code. You can find more information about other roles like digital agri-tech operations manager, data protection officer. So all these are the new roles, okay, that we just got, the funding approval from Skills Future, and we are going to roll out very soon. So the applications are open for all these new roles as well. Yeah. And many of you asked, when will be the presentation? When will be the webinar for these new roles like digital agri-tech? So once we firm up the dates, we will let you know. We will get in the right speakers to talk about these programs. Okay, one more trainee asked, after the course, what will we get? Will this be a certificate? Okay, so for every course that you attend in this program, right, you will be getting a certificate of completion from NTUC Learning Hub, every single course. Okay, some of these courses are WSQ courses. So for those WSQ courses, you will be getting a statement of attainment, the so-called SOA in short, SOA from Skills Future Singapore. Okay, so these are the 2 types of cert you get, certificate of completion, or you get an SOA from SSG. And then let's say you're going for a 9-month long program, say for example, project manager, right? At the end of 9 months, when you complete the full program, we will be giving you a final certificate of completion for the full 9 months SGUS Associate Project Manager program. So that's the final cert you get when you complete the full program. So some of you are mentioning I've already applied for the program. So far, I have not heard from anyone. Okay, so as we are receiving large volume of applications, our team is still reviewing them. Okay, so our team will get back to you within like 2 weeks time. Okay, another question, can I apply for a few SGUS programs and then upon acceptance, then I decide which SGS programs I'm more inclined to take up? Okay, I would strongly recommend, right, to do your own research, like find out which is the most relevant role for you, and then try for one or maximum two roles instead of applying for all of them. Yeah, maybe like you can try for two, at most three. That's what I would suggest. Don't go for too many. And then if you're shortlisted, then there will be separate interviews. So for each role, there will be separate interview. Okay, another question, is there an age limit for participants? No, there is no age limit. Okay, after March, when is the next run? So I think I got this question from a few of you. So the current funding that we have for SGUnited is only valid until March this year. Okay, so in fact, we are planning to run our last cohorts for many of the roles that I shared with you today. Okay, we are already in talks with the respective agencies for a possible extension. So no guarantee yet. And in case the funding is extended, then we will announce, like we will make announcements through our website. Yeah. But as of now, the funding is only until March 31st. Okay, another question. How are the courses conducted, online or physical class? Okay, that depends on the program that you're going. Okay, so in today's presentation, right? So some of the roles, it requires classroom training. For example, the desktop support engineer, right? The module one is called IT Fundamentals Part 1. Okay, that is a module where you have to dismantle a PC and assemble it back. So it's really a hands-on course. Okay, and for those kind of courses, you really have to come down to our training center in Bras Basah. So it's going to be a face-to-face class, but we will adhere to all the safe distancing measures. Whereas many other courses can be delivered virtually. For example, the UI UX course, the data analyst course, the project manager, these are all like, these courses can be conducted almost like 100% online. There is no need for a face-to-face lesson. So it really depends on the program you're going for. So some programs are 100% online. Some is a mixture of online plus face-to-face. Okay, what is the address for in-person class? In-person classes are mostly conducted in our city campus in Bras Basah, NTUC Trade Union House. Are the courses full-time or part-time? Okay, SGUS courses are full-time. So when I say full-time, right, it's typically 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day with a 1 hour lunch break in between. And it's not every day. It's actually, on average, it's about 16 days per month. Okay, but 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And usually we do not conduct any lessons on weekends. It's only in rare occasions, like let's say a trainee is on MC, okay, and we have to arrange for a makeup date, then we will go for a weekend class, okay, and we will also give like prior notice to the participants. Otherwise, our classes are mostly during Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, another question. I have graduated from a professional diploma in 2021. Okay, so this program, right, the SGUnited is not open for fresh grads. Okay, so if you have graduated, okay, in year 2020 or this year, right, you cannot participate in this program. Okay, before completing the course, can the employer terminate your service? If so, will there be any compensation for that? Okay, maybe I clarify again. This is not a place and train scheme. So meaning to say, we are not going to place you into a job upfront. Okay, so you're going to go through a 6 to 9 months long program, and after you complete the program, then we will help you to find a job. Okay, so this question, the question here is, I think, can the employer terminate your service? No. So this point is not applicable. So you go for training first, then we will help you to find a job. Okay, if I'm taking an SGS course from SIM now, am I able to take up another SGS course with NTUC Learning Hub after completion? No, the answer is no. I covered this before. Can apply at the NTUC center? No, the applications are online, so you can use the link that you're seeing on my screen to apply for the program. Okay, if I cannot subscribe to another SGS program, can I take up short courses from NTUC Learning Hub? Yes, you can. So short courses is open for all. Okay, only SGUnited, right? Because the government is investing substantially on every Singaporean PR. Okay, the criteria is very stringent, and because of the limited number of training places, right? As we want to help as many candidates as possible. That's why we cannot allow people to go for more than one SGUS program. But if you're referring to short courses, there is no restriction. You can go for any number of programs. Okay, so I hope I have answered most of the questions posted. In case if I can't answer, right, if I don't answer any questions today, maybe we will compile those questions and then we will send it to you via email. Yeah, and then the other important thing is, like some of you asked, when is the next preview for other roles like supply chain, agri-tech operations manager, like data protection officer. So for all these roles, right, once we firm up the dates, we will be sending you another email for a webinar. Okay, so with that, we have come to an end. So I would like to thank everyone for joining today's session. Okay, so if you have any questions, right, please like write to SGUS. I'm gonna post a link. I'm gonna post a email address here. Yeah. So please write to sgus@ntuclearninghub.com. Okay, if you have any questions about the program, and if you'd like to apply for the program, and or if you want to know more about the programs, please visit this link that you are seeing on the screen. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining. Yep, thank you everyone.